Welcome back to the Purpose Over Profits podcast. Jim and I are so excited to be back creating new content with you guys. How you doing, Jim?
I'm good, man.
Yeah.
As you know, we were talking a little bit beforehand, but so my younger daughter has really kind of gone like head first into being a Swiftie, and yeah, I mean, I appreciate it. I enjoy her music too for the most part, and but I'm just happy to see her excited about those things. But one thing I was like really interesting to me is like this really big marketing thing of, so she's got these all the CDs and so the albums and all that kind of stuff, and she was explaining to me that every single CD, and I don't know if this is the case for every album they do or what, but she was just showing me the ones that she had, that there are like 4 different versions of just the jacket that comes, like the packaging of the CD.
Wow.
And you can get them and they will form like a whole bigger picture or something like that. And so I was out, she was like, I want to get them all. I was like, so you want to buy 4 different versions? And I was like, are there different songs on them? She's like, no, it's the same songs. So I was like, so you want to buy 4 CDs of the same thing because it's just different pictures on it. She's like, yeah. And I was like, man, what a great marketing thing.
Between that and like digital, like people, like my girls on Roblox wanting to get all this stuff digitally. And it's like, you know, it's just marketing. It's just incredible, man. And like, so pretty much next time we see you, you'll be like, will you be wearing said jacket? Probably next time we see you, you're gonna go down a Swiftie train. So cool. Well, man, so excited to get back together and get back, you know, in. And so today we're going to be talking about a really cool topic. You are farther along than you think you are.
Yeah.
Like that's deep.
Yeah, and I think that's something that we all struggle with as entrepreneurs, and thinking, I was like, man, I'm not where I want to be. I need to get this going. But I think the reality of that is that no matter what stage you are at, you are further along than you think, even if you're just taking that step of just getting it going.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. And so fitting. I had a conversation earlier today. You know, that's the blessing of having industry peers. You know, I'm part of several groups and I've formed some great relationships, but there's an agent out west a little bit, and he is 27 years old, and he started his own agency just to like maybe 2 to 3 years ago. He's got twins, if I'm not mistaken, under the age of 3. A lot happening in his life right now. And he called me today and he was just like, hey man, I'm not trying to bother you. I'm not trying to, like, I hate to call you for advice or something. I'm like, dude, promise. Like, I'm not like some guy looking down saying, who can I help today? Like, I mean, we're equals. I might be a little bit further than you because I started sooner. You know what I mean? Like, we're right here, bro. Just talk to me. And ultimately he was kind of sharing like, you know, sometimes how comparison can be a thief of joy, and how things are really difficult in certain areas right now. And ultimately through the conversation, I was like, dude, like I said, if you were having this conversation with someone else right now, you would say, stop beating yourself up.
Yep.
I said, but we're so hard on ourselves. We don't give ourselves any grace. And ultimately walk over. I said, dude, like, the passion that you have, the tears that you shed with how much you care about your family and this mission and everything that you're building, like that you should be able to get off of this phone, look yourself in the mirror and say, I'm proud of you, because man, you're accomplishing beautiful things. The only thing that's holding you back is time. And dude, you can't push it. Like, you just got to let it happen and be thankful for where you are. So it was a very fitting phone call today.
Yeah. So it's really that entrepreneurial personality type is you're always looking at what can I do better? What's the next thing? And it's really hard to take a pause and like, this is where I am right now. And we're never going to be content with that. That's just, that doesn't fit for the personality, but it's also of being able to look at that. And I was like, you know what? All right, I have accomplished these things versus thinking, you know, man, I could do better. I can do this all. And so being able to have that, take that pause and realize that no matter where you are in that journey, you have accomplished these things so far. And what you said about kind of comparison being the thief of joy is a really, really big thing that should resonate with probably every entrepreneur out there, because you're always going to look at the next person. So I might look at the PT practice owner that has 5 locations now. It's like, man, I'm not as good as them. I don't have all the organizational structure that them, because I only got 2 locations now. Where with the reality of that is like, I've done pretty stinking well, but I want to do more, but I should appreciate where I am now versus just always looking at, well, I could do this, do better. I could do this better. No,
Yeah.
because all that stuff's gonna come, but we all want it to be now
Yeah.
versus appreciating where we are.
Because we live
And,
in such a world where you want, I mean, think about it. You go to Chick-fil-A and you're in line for 6 minutes and you're like, whoa,
Yeah,
wait
man.
a second. Like, this is not good. Like, somebody, where's the easy button? Because we're so conditioned that what we want now, we can have it.
Yeah.
You want that shiny car, you can have it. Fill out this credit application. You want the house, you can have it.
Yeah.
Wait, you need to have your paycheck now, but you don't get paid till next Friday, you can have it.
Mm-hmm.
We live in that world where instant gratification has honestly ruined us in a way. And that's the thing, because I go back and think of myself, like in the past week, the conversation today, and then a conversation last Friday with another agent that I respect so much. And he's like, hey man, like, he's like, I just can't wait till I'm where you are. And so often I was like, bro, like I've got so far to go, you know what I mean? But also at the same time, stop and like, give yourself that grace of like, dude, I remember talking to a few agency owners and thinking in my head, like, wow, they've got a, 3 or 4 or 5 or $10 million book of business. And man, they have teams that they get to lead. And it's not all about the money, but it's about like the influence and the things that they get to create because they have that opportunity.
Yeah.
They're not just producing every day. And then here we are, we're doing a lot of those things, but so quickly I'm like, that's not important anymore.
Yeah.
I've got to go
Yeah.
all the way out here. And so, man, it's so crazy. I think that reflection is so important.
Yeah.
Just not just as important. Having a growth mindset is so important, but it also can be a villain because you're so, unfortunately, with that growth mindset, you're constantly thinking about, I've got to get better. I've got to get better. So I think it's a perfect mix of growth mindset mixed with reflection.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
personally.
Because it's really easy to forget where you were at the beginning.
Mhm.
And because you get so used to these things day to day. And it's like, I talk about it with our patients a lot too of, you see yourself every day, so you don't notice those changes as much. But I might see you once a week, so I can see those bigger changes. But if you're just looking in the mirror every morning, it's hard to notice those things. It's the same as we're developing as a business owner and a leader and all those things, because we kind of forget that start point. We're just incrementally getting better and better and better and better and better. But then now at this current time, we're at this certain point, but we're not looking at how far we've come for the most part. We're always going to be focused on, well, I see this person doing this, or I want to get better at this. And that's what I'm going to naturally gravitate towards. And I think some of that is just human nature, is we are going to gravitate more towards those things that are challenges for us. And those are things that we're going to remember more versus we can win 99% of the time, but that 1% that we don't, that's what sticks more. And so I think that goes a lot into that feeling of, I need to be further along. I should be further along than where I actually am right now, because we're having those things stick versus the 99% of things that you've done awesome and you've really progressed and all those kind of things too.
Yeah.
So it's important to have that perspective.
It's so important too. And in most of these conversations that you go through, and this is something I probably said on the podcast before, and I'll say 50 more times, but any book or any movie that you take in and that you say, wow, I need to tell someone about it.
Yeah.
Like David Goggins Can't Hurt Me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It wouldn't be a cool book if the dude didn't have a crazy life.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Like if it was just like guy grows up, joins the military, does some cool things, book over, you're like, am I ever going to tell anyone about it? Sure. I mean, I'm thankful for his service and this, that, and that, but it's like all the trials created what is like something that you can't forget. And so that's why I tell folks whether I have the opportunity, we're doing coaching, or it's just someone I'm talking to, or even if it's a client, we're just having a real conversation about their small business too. It's like, man, any story worth telling has a little drama.
Oh, absolutely.
You're in chapter 3. It's a 10 chapter book.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you've got to get to chapter 4 and chapter 5 and like embrace where you are now and find something. Even in seasons that I've gone through of complete just pain, what can I do as a Christian? I'm like, okay, this is suffering. This is what Jesus, he exemplified. Like, I mean, ultimately he went to the cross for something that he was undeserving of. Like, if I'm getting close to the suffering, what can I gain out of this?
Mhm.
What can I learn in this season that I hopefully will never have to be here again?
Yeah.
But so what can I take with me? And
Yeah.
I think if we would allow ourselves to look at where we are right now or in these spots of life, we would allow it to like just if we could somehow pull ourselves out of the situation and look at it
Yeah.
from an up top perspective, it's like, wow, like what can that do
Yeah.
for you? And I think that's what we need to pull to people. It's like like it's so fun to learn from other people and to see like what they've done, but we have to be so careful not to once again don't let the thief
Yeah.
come and steal that joy.
Yeah.
I feel like you're literally battling on things that are so close to each other that it's just so hard not to like
Yeah.
oops. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's really hard to have that patience, and so I'm fortunate to be in a position to be able to do some coaching for some younger business owners, and it's interesting because a lot of the feedback and what we talk about is I want to be where Jim, where you are, and I was like, well, been doing this for a while, and so it wasn't an overnight thing. So, but the important thing are you're seeking out these things to try to get better and to have desire to do that too. But you also need to recognize where you are and that it can't go from 10 to 90. It needs to be, we're at 10, we're at 20, we're at 30, we're at 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, then 90 versus those big jumps. But it's really hard to see that when you're in the thick of those things too.
No, you're 100% right. My 2 actionable takeaways that you can do, like no matter what. Number 1, order a journal, and even if you get the like 3-line journal, it's a simplified journal. You can literally before you go to bed every night, just write down 3 things, whether it's personal, work related. And then what it's going to do is called a 5-year journal. That's actually the name of it.
Yeah.
And so what you'll do is it's going to take time, like all things do, but you're going to come back the next year and see what you wrote on, February the 21st of 2024. And you're going to say, wow, like either how was I delivered through that? How am I still, it's once again, you reminiscing over the story. And then hopefully you're still living. You know what I mean? Like you have fought, you have made it through, or either it won that moment and you've had to learn of how to overcome that. But I think journaling is something that is so crucial that any of us can do. It's $5, to get that journal. So we can't say we can't do that. But number 2 is having a program. For me, in the insurance world, many of you will know that listen that are insurance agents. It's a program called Agency Zoom. I can literally go back and track our progress, our results, our sales. You have to create things where you can see your progress. It's one thing to have goals and it's one thing to achieve goals, but to actually be able to say, okay, let's go back and look at the 12 months and watch how this has grown. It's such a rewarding feeling. I think you can obviously agree.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I love a number guy. I love all those kind of things. And so I think you absolutely need to know those things but you need to be able to track those because that is hard objective data of where you were and where you are now. I was talking with a practice owner last week, asking them questions about, well, what's your numbers on this? What's your numbers on this? I don't know. It's like, I don't know. I was like, dude, like you've been successful. These are things you really need to nail down. But I want to echo to your thought with the journal part of it. And so everybody's a little different and whether they want to do a journal or not. But I will say, even if you don't do a journal, there's absolute power in writing something out. And there's actually, I think there's been some neurological studies showing of being able to physically write something out, how much that changes stress levels, how much that changes your thought patterns around these things that you're writing about too, that you're able to get them out. You can talk about them. Yeah. That helps some, but the physical part of putting it out there can make a huge difference.
I think, Jim Carrey's an example. I don't know if you've heard this, but he's just got such an amazing past. But I think it was Jim Carrey. I'll go back later, but he wrote like $1 million check to himself, like when he was first coming into the scene, and it was for a certain date, and he actually achieved that. Yeah. But he said writing that check and it was literally like in the He kept it like somewhere in his car, and he would always look anytime before he's getting ready for this. He would look at it and he would say, "You know what? Like this is going to happen." I think what you're saying is sorry, and I think that also along with the writing, it's you see so many coaches out there, so many authors out there that are doing big thing when it comes to habit formation, when it comes to making progress in our life, talking about affirmations.
Yeah.
And I'm speaking to myself in this because my children do it well. We literally have it in their bathroom. It's part of their, quote unquote chore list, but the things that they accomplish during the day. And it's, I'm brave. I'm smart.
Yeah.
I'm capable. Like I'm loved.
Yeah.
And so that's the thing. It's like, if we can also just make the simple thing of like, go print out on Microsoft Word 10 things that you want. I'm going to do this. My business is going to accomplish this. And they're aligned with your core values. Tape that to your mirror in your bathroom.
Yeah.
And just start. If we could just speak some positivity into our lives, I can't imagine what this world would become.
The brain is a really, really powerful thing, and our thoughts are really powerful. And so even if some of these affirmations that we do, if you don't truly believe them when you start repeating and just getting the reps of that, all of a sudden then that becomes a belief.
Yeah.
That comes true. And all it is sometimes you just got to trick your brain into those things too. But it's brain rules everything. And so we got to have that part of it.
I am sure you have seen that be successful,
Oh,
but
big time.
also be crippling
Yeah.
to people in what you do for a
It goes
living.
both ways.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I mean, that's the
Yeah.
scary thing is, guys, if you are living this pessimistic, like everything, woe is me lifestyle, like you have got to have a conversation with yourself, because it's not everyone else that's out to get you. You are tearing yourself up. We beat ourselves up so much more. I mean, I remember reading, it's a great book by Zhao Zhang, and it's called, I will get the name. It'll come to me in a moment, but it's just about not allowing yourself to be fearful of what other people think about. It's called Rejection Proof. Beautiful book. We've talked about it before, but he just talks about laying down at the train station. He literally just laid down. This is a guy that had been rejected. He was on this mission over 100 days. It's on YouTube. You can watch all this, but he laid at a train station and he said, I just laid there. And he said, well, it was fascinating. For 3 seconds, people cared.
Mhm.
They just walked around me
moved around.
because we're all so focused on ourselves.
Yeah.
And we think that everyone cares about, oh my God, I misspelled that word and that thing that I sent, or I find myself doing all these things too, or that video that I put out there talking about this product, I messed up a word. No one notices, bro. They're so focused on themselves
Yeah.
that it's not as big of a deal as we make it out to be, but yet we beat ourselves up.
Yeah. And I think that goes back to title of this episode of
Yeah.
You're Further Along Than You Think. And that that can go both directions. And so we want to err on that side with that of realizing where we are, realizing where we're coming from. So that becomes framed in a positive light versus going down this negative spiral of, I'm not there yet. This is where I want to be. Why am I not there yet? All those different things too.
That's right. And I think that as we get ready to wrap this content episode up, one thing I would just challenge you with this week is one of the best ways to find yourself thinking in a more positive way. If you'd say, man, Jeremy, Jim, like I'm just kind of down in the dumps. The economy's here, or this is that, or my business is there. I would just beg you to think of 10 people that you are thankful for, or that you can compliment because of the things that they are doing. I would just ask you to type out those text messages or make those phone calls or send that email and just throw out some love. Throw out some recognition and some compliments to those people that mean something in your life, and then simply get a journal. I would just say that we can do those things, but I'm telling you, you start taking those simple actions and you start putting that out there. It's beautiful what the law of reciprocity will bring back your way.
Yep. Well, I think that's a good finish.
That's it. That's it. Well, guys, we've enjoyed it. I'll let you end us. I started us, Jim.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
finish,
So as always, thanks for tuning in. We really appreciate all the listeners out there and viewers on YouTube, all the different things. And please reach out, comment on these things too. We love to hear from people, and we always like to respond to those things too. So have a great day.